What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes checking in here with one of the top fighters in the world from the world of bare knuckle. We met him through MMA. He was a title challenger back in the day in the flyweight division. Now he's a champion at bare knuckle, and he's defending his title at BKFC 59, Dodson versus Aguero. You can watch the fights on the BKFC app. I can watch them on Fubo TV. I'm in South America. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. I'm going to go ahead and knuckle up this dude's face as quickly as possible.
You know what? You know what jumped out at me the most when I was looking you up was you're 39. I couldn't believe that.
I know I still have like this gorgeous face, this boy, this look, and I look like a handsome figure model, action model, whatever. I like a little toy.
I mean, you just give off this vibe of like a 23, 25-year-old, but how's your body feel after all these years?
Be honest with you, it feels like a 25, 23-year-old body, but then I hang out with 20-year-olds and I realize I'm definitely 39.
So by that you mean you get your butt kicked every once in a while in the gym?
No, by that is like when I sit there, start beating up them, and I'm telling them like old phrases that I'm like, oh yeah, back in my day. They're like, well, how old are you? And I was like, oh yeah, I've been fighting longer than you've been alive. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So you can still hang though, huh? Everything like waking up is no problem. You can do this for a few more years. I mean, remember, the lighter weight fighters, they don't go as long as the heavyweights. They go into their mid-40s sometimes.
Well, it's good. With the lighter weights, we don't get paid as much as what the heavier fighters go do, so we can't risk our body for injuries that long. But when it comes to being myself, I don't really care. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep on being an entertaining fool as it is and make the most of it. Whenever I can just go ahead and bow out, I'll do it.
As I was scrolling down just to look at your last few fights,
It says amazing. Don't worry.
see which ones you weighed in at, things like that. On one of them, it jumped out at me. I think it said your pay at BKFC was 75 or something. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is I'm just curious. Do you get paid more as a BKFC fighter than you did as an MMA fighter?
Uh, yes and no. Like there's more pros and cons to it. Like being a UFC fighter, I got the extra stardom and fame, and we get win-loss bonuses. But with BKFC, it's a set amount and it's a contracted fight. So it doesn't matter if I win or lose, I still get the set amount of pay. And then with all of our sponsors that can help me out within the inside the square circle or outside of it as well, they continue to pay me through and through throughout the rest of the year.
So which one has given you most comfort, I guess, after you do, add in the sponsors and the fact that it's upfront money? Which one's giving you, I guess, a little bit more peace as a prize fighter?
I can't really say which one is which because of the fact that I was with the UFC for so long, like over a decade of fighting for the UFC. Actually made my life very comfortable and made it easy living. And then fighting with the BKFC is still allowing it for me to go ahead and maintain that kind of lifestyle.
There's just no way you could do both, huh?
I still can be mixing it up with bare knuckle and mixed martial arts like I'm currently still doing right now.
I normally like to respect where you're at, and it's bare knuckle, and you got a fight coming up. And we'll talk about that. But it's this thing with the flyweight division. I don't know if you keep track of it, but there's not much going on in the UFC. They had to use a guy named Steve Erceg. He's going to fly to Rio de Janeiro and challenge Alexandre Pantoja. A lot of these guys have rematched each other. A lot of guys just are either matched up. There's not depth, and I'm thinking, I wonder why they haven't reached out to flyweights that they worked for in the past just to kind of keep building the division.
I don't know, but back in my day when I was in the UFC, they sat there and told me that I couldn't fight Demetrius Johnson for the third time, and it would be a boring fight. So I had to move up to 135. And I did, and look how well that turned out. And then I went back down to flyweight, and look how amazing I am.
Gotcha.
So I don't even know why they haven't sat there and chose to come out to bring other people back in. They just want to get new life, new fame, new stardom, and new star power to that flyweight division. More power to them. They want to keep it like a unique system for them to go ahead and make more money. Let's go ahead and just push the older guys out who would demolish all those younger guys. Because I really think I could knock out Pantoja right now too if I need to.
Have you kind of kept track of what goes on there? Like we've all been kind of scratching our heads. A lot of people thought it was Muhammad Mokaev, maybe Brandon Royval, and then Erstech just comes out of nowhere. I mean, that's just got to be tough for fighters that have. He's undefeated, Mokaev. You know, to have somebody that has only had 3 fights come in and do that, it's got to be frustrating. Do you still kind of keep tabs on the division?
Here and there when I'm watching a few fights. There's a couple of people I do like to really want to see how do well in the UFC right now, like Tim Elliott, Brandon Royval. Like he's a cool kid. I just want to sit there and see how well he's gonna make it as a champion. I want him to be out there, and Brandon Moreno.
You were a pioneer for the flyweights, and you helped put them on the map. Now over here at BKFC, the whole organization, right? You're getting new fans every day. Do you feel like you're in that role again of kind of being a pioneer and ushering a new level to this?
Absolutely. Within the BKFC, I'm making sure I can go ahead and be a new pioneer to not just flyweights, but to the world in general. I want to go ahead and merge the two dynamic sports of mixed martial arts and boxing and combine them together. Like a lot of people continuously sit there and have this weird doubt and trying to play, oh, well, if we got to do clinching, if we got to go ahead and be more boxing oriented, bare knuckles is a way that we can merge the two of them together. And this is for me to go ahead and knuckle up somebody's face who's a professional boxer against a mixed martial artist.
You know, BKFC's history is not as big as some of the other organizations. And right now, the way you're going, it doesn't take that much for you to be kind of one of those names that we talk about. You know, when we talk about Luis Palomino, Mike Perry, some of these guys that have gotten a lot of wins in BKFC, you're not that far behind. What would that mean to you to be one of those guys that maybe we put on that BKFC Mount Rushmore?
Actually, that'd be amazing because of the fact that I can go ahead and do it again for another sport. Being another pioneer in another organization, another type of league, that means I have keep my longevity of fighting in the combat sports realm. It cemented me a little bit closer to the Hall of Fame and that stardom of what I believe is reaching the full potential of being a true competitive, destructive force in combat sports.
When you do homework in BKFC versus homework in MMA, how different is it to study your opponent? Because you could study your opponent all day in MMA, and let's just say you're focusing on his boxing, and all of a sudden he becomes a wrestler for the next fight, right? Like in BKFC, what is it like watching footage, especially now that there's a little bit more on each opponent? What have you learned studying for your opponent?
Now, studying for my opponent, he's like a traditional boxer. I need to go ahead and understand that boxing realm and where I can manipulate my clinch game and also my wrestling game as well. I know as we're not shooting for takedowns, but handling the plums, the ties, collar ties, and be able to exchange in those clinching areas. I want to dictate that pace and be a lot heavier and making them suffer throughout the whole time, the whole entirety of the fight.
John, so again, I looked through your resume. You've come up short in a few title fights. You've won tough. Now you've won this. What's been the biggest moment in your whole combat sports career? Is it this belt you own now?
The biggest moment for me in the combat sports realm would have to be the win the Ultimate Fighter because knocking out TJ Dillashaw was just kind of an amazing thing, and I just love how the whole crowd booed me in the beginning of the fight, and then they loved me at the end of the fight. Also, coming out here winning this BKFC title is another great thing for me because of the fact that I got to do it in my hometown, in my backyard, and I had a whole city in the state of New Mexico cheering me on for this title.
What Hall of Fame? You mentioned, I think, a Hall of Fame. What Hall of Fames would you like to be in by the time you retire from combat sports?
The Combat Sports Hall of Fame, y'all, MMA Junkies Hall of Fame, the fans' favorite Hall of Fame, like literally where my name is continuously written in the stars and not washed away in the sands. I want people to remember my name throughout all history and want to go ahead and emulate my style. Imitation is going to be the greatest form of flattery, and that's what I'm going to have them do. Like when they're reaching out to them, they want to be like, "Oh man, I want to do like how John Dodson did it."
Hey,
You
John,
think?
can I jump in real quick? Just
Yeah,
out of curiosity, what's a Hall of Fame that you could be a part of that we would never anticipate? And I'll give you an example. I'm pretty close to probably being in the Chipotle Hall of Fame. What about you? Is there anything we don't know about you? Like he's the best at this video game, he's the quickest at this. What Hall of Fame that we don't know about you could possibly be in?
Dead by Daylight. It's a video game. Yep. I might be in that game, Dead by Daylight Hall of Fame pretty soon if I continue to play.
So you're really, really good.
I'm very good at hunting people down and making them cry.
I was just looking. New Mexico's got a sports Hall of Fame, and I think that'd be pretty cool if you made it into that because again, you've won 2 titles that command respect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would be awesome to be a homegrown hero, be in my own hometown as a Hall of Famer there. But I want to just be a Hall of Famer in everything that I want to be a part of, like BKFC, Ryzen, UFC, the Tickle Hall of Fame. All the general things that normal people do.
No, I think it'd be pretty cool. Yeah, like I say, to win a title in 2 different sports is impressive. So, and you've been entertaining, and you definitely lay people out, which is what helps build the anticipation towards your fights. Is you pack that power, and again, at the lower weight class, it's not as common. So, you've really, really stuck out in a good way throughout your career in that regard.
Oh, well, thank you. I know being a short little packed punching machine, it's gonna do something good for me. Thank you.
Are you in a high school Hall of Fame or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm in a high school Hall of Fame, but it's for wrestling and also for track and field. That's
Oh,
like
no shit. What sports were you in for track and field?
I did the 400, the 200, the 4x4, high jump, pole vault. Yeah, I know a lot of y'all are gonna sit there and be like high jump. Ooh. Yeah, no, I was actually I did high jump and pole vault.
What was your vertical? Do you remember?
Not back then. Like right now, when I keep on getting tested, it's at 43.
Damn. What was your 400 speed, your 440 speed, highest or best time, I guess?
I ran a 4.7.
That would be your 40-yard dash.
And,
What about the 400 meters?
400 meters was my fastest time was a 45.6.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Because the world record's like in the 42s by now, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, but like me and my buddy Chris Grano were always one running each other, chasing each other down. And he was the guy who beat my record the same day. When I broke the high school record, he broke the record on the next heat. And I was like, I hate you. I hate you so much.
That's brutal.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like more
That
heartbreaking
reminds
because I
me
was like,
of
I broke the record. And then they're like, Grano. And I was like, at this time, and I was like, I hate you. We're running 4x4 together.
this
So
guy right here.
Running this in the same lap with me.
This guy right here is my little brother, and when he was younger, I took him to a WrestleMania. Yokozuna, I don't know if you know any of these names, but he won a world title, and like what goes, maybe 15 minutes later, Hulk Hogan took it from him. How did that go down?
Like 5 minutes later, he beat Bret Hart and then challenged Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan came in and beat him like within 5 minutes or something like that.
So he held the world title about as long as he held that record.
Yep. Exactly. That's a moment right there that I realized I need to do something more magical and be amazing somewhere else.
Magical. I like it. Now they're gonna light us up if we don't ask you this, because there's probably a lot of jokes here, and you seem to have a good sense of humor. But come on, the pole vault, you really did that?
Yeah. So I was doing high jump for a long time, and every time I was doing high jump, the highest height I got was at the starting for what they would be doing competing at state at. So I would make 5'11", and then my next jump would be 6 foot, and I would be like, all right, cool, let's go ahead and try to get this. And I make the first, and then pole vault came around. They're like, hey, do you want to still jump high but cheat? And I said, yes, I would want to do that. And so they tricked me, told me that I was going to be able to do that, and it was a different type of high jump. And the highest I ever got was like 17 feet.
Wow, damn. Pretty impressive. Is it a dangerous sport?
When the pole snaps, yes, because I'm like tiny. That's a very high fall. Like,
has that happened to you?
No, but I've watched a lot of people fly across and have their own poles break. They had to keep on buying like new poles for me because I was so like little, but I was keep on jumping so high. And then there was another guy who always wanted to use my poles, but he ended up breaking one of my poles because he was 170 pounds. Mm-hmm. So the weight limits on them were phenomenal because that means I got special equipment only.
When someone wants to do the pole vault, like how long does it take? Like, I imagine you run with the thing and then you learn how to put it in the right place. But then how do they teach you to jump and then let that thing kind of carry you over? Like that kind of trips me out a little bit.
No, when you're running on pole vault, you're sitting there having your arms locked out. So when you're going in, you're staying relaxed until the point of impact when you have to straighten. And then you keep this locked right here, and that's going to help you create the bend and momentum. Just tuck your knees up and shoot over the top of it. And then when you're going upwards, you just have to be as flat as possible so that you can just arc over the bar.
Wow. Most of the time you will land on that thing though, right? You don't ever reach there and then come back to where you started or nothing like that, or what?
Only if you're afraid of what you're supposed to be doing. It's like anything in life. If you don't do 100% committed to it, you're going to fail and make mistakes that are going to be life altering or changing the whole course of perfection. Like the part of success is doing the thing knowing that you believe it 100%. And if you believe in it, then you keep on going out throughout it.
Is it like riding a bike where, like, if I said, hey, we locked our keys in the house, can you fly over that fence to get over? Would you be able to pull pole vault and just fly over?
Well, I could jump over it. Definitely, for sure.
What if it's a really high wall?
Mm-hmm. Huh. Like if it's really high, I'm down to climb. And if I had a pole vault, I need something I can go ahead and pitch myself to propel me over it. But yes, I would be able to try it.
Wow.
I'm always down to.
John, if you told me, hey, we're going pole vaulting today, but then Goes says, nah, come with me, we're going surfing, although there are some sharks out there, I still think I might take my chance with the surfboard and the sharks just because
Why?
you don't hear about many times. I don't know, man. Something about like if you don't stick it and you're up there, that's like 2 stories that you're up there, right? And yeah, half of it is a soft landing, but what about the other sides?
I mean, it's not half. It's like more of like the high 80s when it's nice and soft. But when it's not, it's like falling. You stub your toe, it hurts. Just think about it, you're stubbing your toe a lot harder.
Can't the stick kebab you too if it breaks?
See, you guys are sitting there saying all the negative stuff. Like you can die by getting eaten by a shark. And if the shark doesn't get you, the water will drown you.
True.
And if there's not that, there's jellyfish that can sting you. And then there's turtles that can like control you. There's octopuses that can just strangle your neck. I mean, there's a lot more dangers in the ocean than jumping up in the air and shoving a stick into the ground to have you propel you through over a house.
All right. I just never met a pole vaulter, so that's why I've been holding on to questions for 54 years. One day with
54 years,
I can ask them all these things, and of course, I get a kick out of those videos like the Derek Lewis post where people are always crashing and burning. That's why I was wondering if there was anything like that had ever happened or what can happen. This is a trip right here.
I mean, there's a bunch of possibilities of everything that can go wrong. Like I could get hit.
You had no injuries,
I could get hit by a
though,
bus while walking out my front door.
You had no injuries from pole vaulting?
No, I have no injuries from pole vaulting. The worst injury I've ever sustained was throwing a head kick to somebody's face in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and my knee popped out, and I tore my ACL. And that was against John Moraga, and I had to knee him in his face after the fight. Well, not after the fight, in the second round, so I can end the fight.
So you've been pretty injury-free all your sports career.
Oh, sports career, yes. And then I flew into a tree about 15 feet in the air, and that wasn't because of pole vaulting, it's because I was riding a motorcycle.
Yeah, please take us through this. What happened? I got to hear this one.
So my brother just bought a bike, and I was like, hell yeah, we can go ahead and do this. We'll go ahead and rip this motorcycle for a minute. And then he goes, hey, you want to drive? But I was like, yeah, cool. I want to ride a motorcycle. No, I have no idea, no clue on how to do it. I just gripped it and ripped it, and I just launched myself into a tree. I saw a tree and I saw a car, and I realized the car had insurance and the tree didn't. So I went headfirst into a tree. Broke my shoulder blade. Straight down the pipe. Yeah, they said.
Why was it a car and a tree? Why wasn't there just open air that you could have driven through?
Well, there was open air, but it wasn't a field. It was a parking lot. So I decided to say, I can go ahead and do this. Yeah, we just got it right now. And I had to fix his bike. Literally pulled it off the driveway. I mean, out of the store, came through, drove it. I had it in the driveway. Next 2 or 3 weeks, I had to wait in the body shop with it because I had to pay for the damages I did to his bike.
Last question. Did you ever play football?
Yes. I was a nose tackle, fullback, and the most important part, I was a strong safety.
I was gonna say, I bet you would have been tough to because you got wheels. You probably would have been tough to tackle if you were a running back.
Yeah, it looked like I
The
was a pinball. So people always sit there and say every time that I would run the ball, they'd hand it to me, and I got a good like room to run. I'll be
Mhm.
bouncing off of everybody that kept on trying to tackle me, like a little pinball machine, just keep on bouncing. And then it the only work if I was getting game tackled. And then I realized I don't like that because like having 600 pounds crushing me sucked, and I was like 120 pounds.
And that's what doesn't compute for me. So hopefully you can answer this one last one. Most nose tackles are 6'3", 320 pounds. You're 5'3", 120 pounds. Why did they stick you at nose tackle?
Oh, because I was quick and they just wanted to piss off all the defenses. And then got really good at timing the ball. So I would dive underneath the center's legs and sack the quarterback.
Man, so you were kind of like Rudy out there. Did you ever see the movie Rudy?
Yeah, that's what expired the
Nice.
whole trip for me to be a nose tackle. And they're like, "Hey, you want to try it?" I was like, "Sure, why not? I'm always down for a good time." They're like,
It's that
"You're
quick. That
all in the
quickness can
strong
get
safety. Do
you.
you think you can deal with these centers?" And they're like, "What do I really have to do? Because I'm not gonna move these guys." So they're like, "We just need them to like try to trap you and have 2-on-1 on you." And I was like, all right, sounds stupid, but okay. At least it'll give an opening for somebody who will be a good team player."
Your job was to disrupt. I bet you were really, really good at it too.
Mhm.
Oh, it was because I just started talking. I was like, "Hey, you realize I can fit through this?" And they're like, "What?" Start tackling people. They're like, "That's dumb. Don't ever do that again." One time, one dude just sat on me when I thought I was sitting there. He must have seen all the footage. I got sat on top of him. I was like, I had to get pulled out immediately. I told my coach, I was like, "Yo, I don't understand. It works 90% of the time, but this is that one time it didn't." And I'm like,
That's hilarious. John Dodson, the magician. Now he's doing it at bare knuckle. He's the champ, and he defends his belt at bare knuckle 59. So bare knuckle fighting championship 59. It is in his home turf in his backyard at the Tingley Coliseum in Albuquerque, New Mexico on Friday, the 29th. Go check out bare knuckle. It moves fast. These guys know how to throw on fights, so they move fast throughout the card. This will be the main event. Thank you as always for the time. It's been great chatting with you, John.
"Oh no, thank you guys for always bring me on and keep on entertaining me with all the questions, and I love to keep on entertaining y'all."
Sounds
Thank you,
good. Take
John.
care, bud.